Thank you to Dell Gaming for sponsoring today's episode. Did Adam Driver spoil Rey's parents for Episode 8? The Last Jedi is just a month and a half away, which means we're also a month and a half closer to discovering the truth behind one of Star Wars' biggest mysteries: who are Rey's parents? The question has been on fans' minds ever since they saw that shot of the interstellar orphan getting abandoned in the deserts of Jakku way back in The Force Awakens, and director Rian Johnson has promised us answers in his section of the brand new trilogy. But we may not even have to wait that long, thanks to some new clues dropped by Daisy Ridley and Adam Driver at recent press events. The two have been doing the rounds to promote the upcoming film, and the duo has been getting awfully close to spoiler territory in their interviews, which, by the way, we're about to discuss in detail. So if you want to stay in the dark till December 15th, turn away now. While talking to Yahoo Japan, Daisy Ridley told the site, in regards to Rey's parents, "I knew the answer a few years ago, but the story that Rian Johnson created was so wonderful I couldn't believe it. Honestly, I was very moved. I think that everyone will be in that moment." Meanwhile, in an interview with the British GQ, Adam Driver said, "You have the hidden identity of this princess who's hiding who she really is so that she can survive, and Kylo Ren and her hiding behind these artifices." So that's a lot to break down. But obviously the most significant thing here is the confirmation that Rey is, in fact, royalty. She's a princess. Maybe. The full context of Adam Driver's quote was referencing Akira Kurosawa's The Hidden Fortress, which the original Star Wars had some heavy homages to. So Driver's quote was comparing Rey to that film's princess, but we still think this mention of a princess in context to Rey provides pretty strong evidence for her origins. Following this line of thinking, this means we can already rule out one of the major contenders for her parentage, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now, old Ben was a lot of things in his lifetime, but he was never royalty. And unless he hooked up with the queen off-screen, there's no way that his kid would be royalty either. Of course, that is a slight possibility, but we doubt they'd be putting so much emphasis on Rey's princess heritage if it didn't connect to a character that we had already met. So who have we met that would fit the bill? Well, when you talk about royalty in the Star Wars universe, the first person you obviously think of is Leia.
To me, she's royalty.
But the chances of Rey being another Solo seem slim. She's spent a lot of time with Han and Leia in The Force Awakens, and you have to imagine that one of them might mention they once gave up on a daughter who looks a lot like Rey and would be exactly the same age Rey is now. Plus, who'd want another kid after Kylo turned out to be such a pain in the ass? One and done, am I right? Now our next candidate, good old Sheev Palpatine. Emperors are technically royal, so maybe Rey's connected to the Emperor formerly known as Darth Sidious. But then again, would the discovery that your dad was an evil genocidal space wizard really be a moment that you described as wonderful? Although I say it could be kind of the way that Luke discovered that Darth was his dad, and Star Wars literally writing the same story over and over again. It would make sense, but that's almost too obvious. So with that being said, Ridley talks about the scene as if it's something super touching, not terrifying, which is why we're ruling out pretty much all bad guys for this one. So that goes for you too, Snoke. Sorry! So who does that leave? Who is the only other royal in major Star Wars canon? Our only remaining option is none other than Luke Skywalker! Sure, we don't talk about it a lot, but Luke's blood is just as regal as Leia's. They both have the same mom, after all, and director J.J. Abrams has said one of his goals with Episode 9 was to tie all 9 films together, and bringing in Naboo and the lineage of Queen Amidala would be a great way to do that. And finally, from a narrative standpoint, it just makes sense. We know Rey is going to spend the majority of the film training with Luke, trying to win his affection as a reluctant father figure. It would be a perfect third act reveal to find out he is also her actual father. What do you folks think? Are you excited to finally find out who Rey's parents are? And are there any candidates that we may have missed? Maybe the midichlorians? Burn it with fire! Nope! Let's discuss. And the ghost of Halloween still haunts us, but it's not too early to get Black Friday deals. Dell Gaming is holding its Level Up sales event right now, but it only lasts for 48 hours. You can get some pretty sweet deals like an Inspiron gaming desktop with an AMD Ryzen 7 1700X processor and an 8GB AMD Radeon RX 580 VR-ready graphics card for $899.99 after $200 in savings. Get on over to Dell.com/gaming to level up, stop playing, and start gaming.